Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, today I stand before you with a message that might sting, but one that is necessary. It's a message forged in the fires of challenge, sharpened by failure, and strengthened by the pursuit of excellence. The title of this talk is No Mercy for Mediocrity. Let's be clear. Mediocrity is not a lack of ability. It's not being average by circumstance. Mediocrity is a choice. A quiet, subtle, it's the decision to hit the snooze button one more time. It's the justification that good enough is truly good enough. It's the voice that says, don't try too hard, no one else is. But here's the truth. The world was not built by people who settled for mediocrity. The bridges, the skyscrapers, the scientific breakthroughs, the art that moves your soul, the businesses that changed how we live, these were all crafted by people who declared war on mediocrity. People who said, this may be good, but I can make it better. I can be better. Now I know the world around us is constantly whispering, just be comfortable. Don't aim too high. Don't stand out. And if you listen to that voice long enough, you'll find yourself blending into the background, invisible in a crowd of the forgettable. But I'm here to tell you, comfort is a cage and mediocrity is its warden. Let me ask you something. When did striving for greatness become optional? When did it become acceptable to stop sharpening your skills, to stop pushing your limits, to stop dreaming with intensity and working with discipline? Excellence is not about ego. It's about purpose. When you aim for excellence, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of those around you. You inspire, you lift, you create momentum. You become the kind of person that others point to and say, because of them, I didn't give up. Understand this. Mediocrity is not neutral. It's not passive. It's dangerous. It slowly eats away your self-respect. It's the slow erosion of potential, the thief of dreams, the killer of legacy. And worse, it's contagious. When you settle, you give others permission to do the same. Look around at the people you admire. They all have one thing in common. They gave mediocrity no mercy. They sacrificed sleep, took risks, faced rejection, and endured failure. But they kept moving because they knew greatness is not an accident. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you build day by day, decision by decision. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be relentless. You need to wake up with a fire of purpose in your gut. You need to be more afraid of regret than of failure. Too many people live their whole lives buried in distractions, drowning in excuses, saying, one day I'll start, one day I'll change, but one day is a lie. There's only day one, and day one begins when you decide right now that you will no longer tolerate being average. Burn the bridges behind you, destroy the exit routes. Leave no space in your mind for what if I fail, because you will fail. That's not a threat, it's a promise. But failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is. Failure teaches. Mediocrity hides. Failure grows you. Mediocrity decays you. I don't care where you started. I don't care what your GPA is, what job you work, what neighborhood you grew up in. That's not what defines you. What defines you is what you do with what you've got. What defines you is your hunger to rise. When you walk into a room, let people feel your excellence in the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat others. Not arrogance, excellence, not pride, principle. Live so deliberately that mediocrity doesn't dare come near you. Let your work ethic scream louder than your words. Let your discipline speak before you do. And never, never apologize for wanting to be great. Don't dim your light just because others are comfortable in the dark. People will criticize you. They'll say you've changed, and you should, because growth demands change. Elevation requires separation, and greatness demands sacrifice. So, if you've been playing small, stop. If you've been making excuses, end it. If you've been waiting for permission to be great, here it is. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you're willing to work for, what you're willing to bleed for, what you're willing to rise for. When everyone else sleeps, mediocrity has no place in your story, not in your career, not in your family, not in your legacy. I challenge you tonight, tomorrow, every day to live like someone who refuses to settle, to live like someone who understands that time is precious, potential is priceless, and purpose is non-negotiable. So rise up, get to work, be relentless, be extraordinary, and show the world what it looks like when someone gives no mercy for mediocrity. Mediocrity is a choice, not a condition. This statement challenges a deeply rooted mindset that many people hold, that some are simply born to achieve more while others are destined to remain average. But that belief is both limiting and inaccurate. Mediocrity isn't something assigned at birth, nor is it dictated by circumstances. It is a decision, whether conscious or not, to stay where you are instead of pushing for more. The truth is, everyone has potential. Potential is universal, but performance is personal. What separates the exceptional from the ordinary isn't raw talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It's mindset and the daily choices we make. Choosing mediocrity means choosing convenience over effort, fear over courage, and stagnation over growth. It means deciding to coast through life rather than take responsibility for shaping it. Many people disguise mediocrity as contentment. They tell themselves, I'm happy with what I have, when in reality, they've given up on what they could become. There's a difference between being grateful and being complacent. Gratitude is powerful and essential. It grounds you. But complacency, that's the silent killer of ambition. It's the voice that says, you don't need to go further. This is enough. Even when you know deep down you haven't scratched the surface of your capability. The danger of mediocrity lies in its subtlety. It doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in slowly through procrastination, excuses, and the habit of doing just enough to get by. One missed opportunity, one ignored discipline, one compromised standard at a time, and suddenly you're miles away from the person you wanted to be. What's most sobering is that mediocrity often wears a mask of normalcy. It blends in. It tells you that everyone else is doing the same, that standing out is unnecessary or even arrogant. And if you're not careful, you'll accept that narrative. You'll accept average as your identity. But make no mistake, identity follows decisions. If you choose mediocrity repeatedly, it becomes part of who you are. Consider the areas of your life where you've let standards slip. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your character. Ask yourself honestly, have you truly given your best, or have you merely done enough to avoid falling behind? If the latter is true, then mediocrity has taken root. Choosing excellence is hard. It requires sacrifice, discipline, discomfort, and an unrelenting commitment to grow. But more importantly, it requires awareness. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. If you don't recognize mediocrity in your life, you can't fight it. And make no mistake, you must fight it. Because if you don't, it will win by default. Every day you wake up, you're faced with the same decision: to rise above or to settle. That decision is not made once in a lifetime. It's made in every moment, every task, every conversation. Excellence isn't a destination, it's a pattern. Mediocrity, too, is a pattern. And your future is determined by which pattern you repeat more often. People often say, I didn't choose to be mediocre. Life just turned out this way. But life doesn't turn out anyway. Life reflects your choices. Yes, circumstances can make things harder. Yes, obstacles are real, but so is agency. So is will. So is resilience. Choosing mediocrity isn't just about failing to rise. It's about refusing to try, hiding behind limitations instead of challenging them. There's no shame in falling short while aiming high, but there is tragedy in never aiming at all. There's loss in letting days go by while your dreams collect dust on the shelf of hesitation. When you realize that mediocrity is not something imposed on you, but something permitted by you, everything changes. Because what you allow is what will continue. Comfort is a cage. Excellence demands discomfort. This truth is difficult to accept because we've been conditioned to chase comfort, to prioritize ease, and to avoid pain at all costs. We live in a world that rewards convenience. Everything is instant. Food, entertainment, validation. We've built a society that praises efficiency, but somewhere along the way, we confuse that with effectiveness. We started to believe that if something is hard, it must be wrong. If it's uncomfortable, it must not be for us. But the opposite is true. Growth only begins where comfort ends. Comfort feels good in the moment. It's familiar. It's safe. It doesn't challenge your beliefs, your habits, or your identity, but it also doesn't stretch you. It doesn't demand that you evolve. It doesn't ask you to risk, to sacrifice, or to become more than you were yesterday. Comfort gives you the illusion of peace while robbing you of progress. It whispers, stay here, where it's warm and easy, while your potential waits outside the door, knocking, unheard. Excellence has no room for the comfort zone. Excellence is forged in resistance. It's built when you wake up early to train while others sleep, when you stay up late to study, to build, to refine your craft. It's in the hours of repetition, the moments of self-doubt that you push through, the discipline to say no when the easier yes tempts you. Excellence demands that you choose pain over pleasure, not because pain is noble, but because you understand that nothing valuable is ever birthed without pressure. Discomfort is the tuition you pay for growth. It's the gem for your character. When you step into discomfort intentionally, you take control of your development. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop expecting change to come from inspiration alone and begin creating it through consistent, often tedious effort. The irony is that avoiding discomfort leads to long-term suffering. The person who avoids the pain of working out ends up dealing with the pain of poor health. The one who avoids the discomfort of hard conversations ends up in broken relationships. The student who avoids the challenge of deep study suffers the consequence of missed opportunity. Temporary comfort always comes at a permanent cost. You may not feel it now, but the bill will come eventually, and it will demand payment in full. Discomfort is the tuition you pay for growth. It's the gem for your character. When you step into discomfort intentionally, you take control of your development. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop expecting change to come from inspiration alone and begin creating it through consistent, often tedious effort. The irony is that avoiding discomfort leads to long-term suffering. The person who avoids the pain of working out ends up dealing with the pain of poor health. The one who avoids the discomfort of hard conversations ends up in broken relationships. The student who avoids the challenge of deep study suffers the consequence of missed opportunity. Temporary comfort always comes at a permanent cost. You may not feel it now, but the bill will come eventually, and it will demand payment in full. What most people call suffering is actually transformation. It's the tearing down of old habits, the burning away of weakness, the reshaping of your mind and spirit. Excellence never comes gently. It arrives with the force of discipline, the sting of failure, and the fire of relentless effort. And in that struggle, you find who you really are. Not the version that performs when everything is easy, but the version that shows up when every part of you wants to quit. Everyone wants the reward, but few want the road. Everyone admires greatness from afar, but not everyone is willing to embrace what it takes up close. That's the great separator. Not talent, not connections, not luck. The difference between those who reach excellence and those who remain average is their relationship with discomfort. The average avoid it. The excellent seek it. Discomfort forces clarity. It reveals your weaknesses, your excuses, your limits, but it also uncovers your strength, your hunger, your capacity. It's the mirror that reflects both your current state and your future potential. When you lean into it, you discover resilience you didn't know you had, patience you never thought you could practice, and depth of character you didn't realize existed. Most people don't fear failure, they fear discomfort. The fear of being embarrassed, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of being judged. But the moment you decide that comfort is no longer the goal, those fears lose power. You begin to act from purpose instead of protection. You start to play offense with your life, not defense. And from that posture, excellence becomes not just a possibility, but an expectation. Greatness is built day by day, decision by decision. It's not some grand moment that suddenly changes everything. It's not a spotlight, a viral moment, or a lucky break. It's a series of small, consistent actions that compound over time. It's waking up every morning and choosing to show up with intention, even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping. The world often celebrates the outcome, but overlooks the process. Yet, it's the process that truly defines greatness. Every choice you make, no matter how minor it seems, either moves you closer to your potential or further from it. Every decision is a brick, and those bricks become your foundation. Skipping one practice, cutting one corner, postponing one goal, those are not isolated events. They are signals to your character. And when repeated, they become habits. And those habits shape who you become. Greatness is not found in the massive, dramatic gestures. It's built in the daily grind, the silent sacrifices, the moments you choose to persist instead of giving in. We live in a culture that glorifies the big win and the overnight success, but those stories are rarely the whole truth. Behind every great athlete, artist, entrepreneur, or leader, there's a hidden archive of early mornings, late nights, and decisions that no one else saw. Greatness is built when you choose discipline over distraction, when you commit to growth even when progress feels invisible. It's not about having the perfect conditions. It's about doing the work regardless of the conditions. There's something powerful about the discipline of daily decisions. It teaches you that you don't need motivation to act. You need a standard. You don't need ideal circumstances. You need resolve. The moment you commit to a standard of excellence, you shift from being reactive to being deliberate. You stop waiting for inspiration and start becoming consistent. That's where transformation happens. Not when you feel like it, but when you do it anyway. Excellence doesn't ask for occasional effort. It demands ongoing commitment. You don't get to visit greatness. You must live there. That means showing up on the days when you're tired, frustrated, uninspired, or afraid. It means choosing actions that align with your vision even when your emotions don't. Those are the decisions that count the most because they prove that your goals are stronger than your moods. Every day gives you a chance to build or to delay, to step forward or to stay stagnant. And while it might not seem like much today, those tiny steps accumulate. Over time, they form momentum. And momentum is what separates the average from the elite. Momentum doesn't come from bursts of intensity. It comes from consistency. It's forged by doing the right thing repeatedly, even when progress is slow and recognition is absent. Here's a truth that's hard to accept, but liberating once you do. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to force you to reach your potential. It's on you. The effort, the accountability, the focus, it must come from within. And that starts with owning every decision you make. Each day, you decide how you spend your time, how you treat others, how you respond to setbacks. Those decisions define your legacy far more than any title or achievement. Greatness demands a standard that is personal and unwavering. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's the quiet commitment to improvement, the daily practice of pushing limits, and the refusal to lower expectations for the sake of ease. You can't wait for greatness to arrive. You build it, piece by piece, with intention and effort. And the most empowering part is that it's available to anyone who's willing to make the decision to start and the discipline to continue. Failure grows you. Fear of failure destroys you. Most people misunderstand failure. They see it as a sign of inadequacy, a stain on their record, something to be avoided at all costs. But failure, in its rawest form, is one of life's most powerful teachers. It strips away illusions and reveals the truth. It shows you where you are, what you lack, and what must be done to improve. There's nothing more honest than failure. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't lie. It gives you feedback, clear and immediate. And if you have the courage to listen, to learn, and to try again, you come back stronger than before. The people who rise to the top aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They use it, they study it, they respect it. They allow it to shape their resolve and sharpen their skills. Failure toughens you. It humbles you. It builds resilience, patience, and perspective. Without it, your growth is limited and your potential remains untapped. Success without struggle is surface level. It's fragile, but when you've been broken and rebuilt by failure, you gain a depth that no easy victory can provide. Fear of failure, on the other hand, is toxic. It paralyzes you. It convinces you that it's safer not to try at all than to risk falling short. It traps you in hesitation, overthinking, and constant self-doubt. That fear becomes a wall between you and everything you could achieve. It's not the failure itself that ruins dreams. It's the avoidance of the possibility of failure. People abandon goals, relationships, opportunities, not because they don't care, but because they fear the pain of not succeeding. They let fear dictate the size of their effort, the scale of their vision, and the speed of their action. Fear of failure whispers that you need to be perfect, that any mistake is proof you're not good enough. But that voice is a liar. Perfection is a myth. Progress is what matters. No great achievement has ever been reached without setbacks. No invention, no movement, no breakthrough happened without someone taking a risk and being willing to fail. Failure is not a sign to stop. It's a signal to adjust. It's part of the process, not the end of it. When you fear failure, you stay small. You play safe. You avoid challenge, minimize exposure, and cling to what's comfortable. But in doing so, you sacrifice growth. You stay in the shallow end of life, never experiencing the depth of what you're capable of. Fear shrinks your world. It dims your light. It makes you focus more on protecting what you have than building something greater. Keeps you busy surviving instead of thriving. The most liberating shift is realizing that failure doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're in the game. It means you're moving, trying, stretching. The only people who never fail are the ones who never risk anything meaningful. They never test their limits, and so they never discover their strengths. Failure reveals your limits, and then it invites you to break through them. What you do after failure matters more than the failure itself. Do you blame? Do you quit? Do you retreat into fear? Or do you study it, own it, and rise again with greater clarity? Your response determines your future. Growth doesn't come from wins alone. It comes from how you handle losses. It comes from persistence, from adaptability, from courage in the face of defeat. Fear will always be there, whispering its doubts and threats. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. When you understand that failure is not the enemy, but the ally of growth, you stop being afraid to take big swings. You stop holding back your effort. You step fully into the arena of life, knowing you might fall, but trusting that you'll rise.